Hurry Up Tomorrow, directed by Trey Edward Schultz, who directed one of my favorite films of recent years, Waves. So that's kind of like the main reason why I saw this film. Right off the bat, I just want to say I'm not a fan of The Weeknd, just not my thing. And I don't really know his music, to be honest. I just know Blinding Lights. So I don't know exactly how this film ties in. I don't know how much is real to like his new album. I don't know if it's just music or if there's a lot of lore to him. And like, I'm sure super fans know all about his life. So I don't know how much of this is based off of reality. I'm extremely surprised to say that I love this film like a lot. So I saw this film just because of the trailer. Like, I was like, damn, that looks like a really awesome film. It looks like my type of thing. And I love this director. And I love Jenna. I love Barry Keoghan. Let's go. Like, even though I don't care for The Weeknd, like, I'm still down. And he was great. Abel was great. This film is such an interesting thing. It's such a specific atmosphere, specific tone, interesting story, and it's like a very hypnotic, horrific journey or odyssey, which I think is like the appropriate word for this film, through self-destruction and self-discovery and self-confrontation. So just a brief rundown of the plot. The film starts with Abel, The Weeknd. He's playing himself or a version of himself. So it starts with him that he just went through a breakup. And right off the bat, the film is very tense. The film is very visceral. And you could just tell that he has a lot of inner demons. He has a lot of suppressed trauma, probably. And this breakup and the harsh words his ex is saying are really triggering him and really messing with him. And on top of that, he is also like not losing his voice, but he's going through some vocal cord issues. And he goes to the doctor, and the doctor are telling him, like, you need to rest. Like, simple as that. Nothing serious, you need to rest. All these things are just building in his psyche. His best friend slash manager, played by Barry Keoghan, he's just his hype man. He's just the cliche manager of like, who cares? Like, you can do this. You're the best. And probably looking for his own self-interest, but also like manipulating him. Like, I love you. We're best friends. What are you talking about, bro? He's really good. Like, in fact, like his manipulation, sometimes I'm like, is this real? I can't tell because the things he would tell Abel sometimes seem really heartfelt, and it's just like hard to discern, you know? He's just telling him all the wrong things, like, screw her, don't worry about it, let's just go party, let's just like, here's some drugs, here's some alcohol, you'll feel better tomorrow. And during all this, we're cutting to Jenna Ortega's story. And it actually kind of reminds me of one of my favorite films, The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, Fincher's version. Just like how for the first like hour, Lisbeth and Mikael never meet. And Mikael is the main story, but we're constantly cutting to Lisbeth and we're just learning about her. And then once they meet, like, the real story begins. We understand what the rest of the film is going to be. So same here, Abel's the main story, but we're constantly cutting to Jenna and getting an impression of her life. She's also spiraling. She's also going through some sort of dark journey of self-destruction. And we don't know if she's running from the cops. We don't know exactly what's going on, but it's all implied. And that's all I want to say about the plot. I mean, that's, in a way, that's all there is to say about the plot. But I don't want to say the rest of the last act because it's quite insane. So the performances, great. Abel was surprisingly very, very good, completely believable. Since he's a singer, I know singers tend to make pretty good actors because of music videos and just they understand conveying emotion, you know, because they're performers as well, you know. But sometimes it could be wooden. It could be very clear that this is not a professional actor. And I thought he did a great job. I mean, obviously it's easier because he's playing a version of himself that is based off of a script that he helped write, you know, so it makes perfect sense. But nevertheless, he was amazing. He has a lot of emotional scenes, a lot of crying, a lot of screaming, a lot of like internal distress that you could just see is brewing within him. He completely conveys it well. And of course, Jenna's great. I think this is actually one of my favorite performances of her. She just plays a very specific dark female archetype or something. I don't know how to articulate it exactly, but she just is really great. I'm sure many female fans will envy her character and perhaps relate to her on many levels. And of course, Barry's great. Barry's not in it a lot, but when he's in it, he really brings it. So the direction. This film is surreal. This film is psychedelic. This film is dark. It's dripping with atmosphere, and it's a really intense ride. And I just feel like this film is a very singular cinematic experience because it's all about audio. It's all about imagery. And it's really unique because there's plenty of movies like Uncut Gems, there's plenty of movies where there's a lot of stress, but I think this film goes beyond that because of score, because of soundtrack. Like The Weeknd's music is blaring the whole time. It's almost in every single scene, and it doesn't feel forced. It doesn't feel like this is a shameless plug of his new album, you know? Like it really feels like one cohesive vision, one cohesive palette. And there's a lot of montages in this film, and this film is not very conventional. This film, the way the writing is, the way they convey things, it's not conventional storytelling. It's not quite art house cinema, but it's leaning on that side than your average drama. In many ways, this film actually reminded me of Carmen, one of my favorite musicals that like no one saw, starring Paul Mescal and Melissa Barrera. Check that film out. I did a review. Check it out. But it kind of reminds me of that: the surrealism, the unconventional storytelling, the visual storytelling. In this film, the cinematography is incredible. I absolutely loved it. It actually reminds me a bit of what I talk about in my Tarkovsky video, where the lighting is very underexposed, but not like in a way where you're like, I can't see what's going on, just in a very stylistic, intentional way. And this film is also shot on 35 millimeter, and you could just tell the way it captures light, the way it captures shadows. And a lot of the film, aside from the club scenes, of course, a lot of the film is like one source lighting. So there's just this great texture of lighting and shadows on people's faces, on their costumes. And because it's 35 millimeter, it just captures the shadows in a very deep black way, resulting in like a beautiful contrasty frame. And I just love the way this film looks. And on top of that, the camera work. Usually in intimate psychological dramas, camera work is very, I wouldn't say uninspired, but very calm. Like a lot of still shots, a lot of close ups. And this film does all those things. But what this film also does is a lot of big camera movements that I feel like you only see movements like that in action and adventure films. Like really intense pushes, a lot of really fast pans, tracking shots, or the camera will be coming from above, descending down in a very cinematic way, like descending upon a car, descending on a character, or just aerial shots. Like, you know, like the film does a great job of adding scope to this film while still being an intimate psychological drama. And I think that's why this film is so epic, why it feels like an odyssey. I think that's like the most appropriate word for this film. It's an odyssey. And I just really love the way they shot this film. And the last act, they shift tone a little bit, and then the aspect ratio changes. It's not widescreen anymore. It becomes 4:3 aspect ratio, and it was perfect. It didn't feel like artsy, pretentious choices. It felt very fitting because the rest of the film much more intimate, calming. Well, I don't know if calming is the right word. It's not quite as epic anymore. It's more grounded, and that 4:3 aspect ratio I think really fits the rest of the film. And yeah, I just absolutely adored this film. I want to see it again for sure. Highly recommend it to you guys. And it is funny that The Weeknd is obviously a mainstream artist, so it'll be interesting for a lot of these mainstream fans to go check this film out, because again, this film is not mainstream. This film is very much surrealism, so I'm sure they'll leave this film like, what the heck. I think for sure film fans will enjoy this film because it's just great cinematic storytelling. And yeah, I just highly recommend it to you guys. Check it out. Let me know what your thoughts. And thanks for watching.